Hey everyone, Magic Sword here with the promised tier list. No idea if this is going to go up on time because it's probably going to be long like the last one, so we might be releasing this after expansion release, which is not ideal, but you know what? We'll roll with it. So, to maximize our chances of getting this out, let's hurry along with starting with Lothar here, right? So Lothar, Warrior Legendary, the end of your turn, attack an enemy, kill it, gain stats, right? So kind of a big boy, beefy boy, big warrior archetype for sure. Not sure if it'll be good. I'm thinking maybe not. So I'm gonna put him in like C tier because he's not unplayable, right? Like there's some cards that are just gonna be like memes. Those are gonna go in D tier. This might be in Big Warrior. I just don't think Big Warrior is gonna be good. You know. So that on top of the fact that it might not even make the cut, uh, really just really just have to put him down here, unfortunately. Auctioneer Jackson, similarly, tradable is going to be a big deal, but I don't think you run Jackson just because you have a bunch of tradable cards. Because, like, tradable is valuable because you can trade them, but very often you're not trading them. So I'd probably put her below Lothar even, right? So, like, neutrals kind of have an advantage of being able to, like, fit into any deck, but I just I don't see anyone really wanting that. It is a powerful effect, but most of the time your tradable cards, you're not actually trading, you're actually holding on to them still. So, you know, I think we got to put her down there, unfortunately. Dungar's not good. This is an easy one because we've seen him already, but like, I just, I just don't have faith in him like finding a spot in any new decks or anything like that. Um, I just sorry Dungar, but that effect just isn't that powerful. Cornelius Rome, so if you'll recall, 6 mana, 4/5 with like some card draw. People are saying it's like the best card in the game. I'm saying that almost always you play it and it draws you 2 cards after your turn's over already, and then it dies. I'm saying that happens like 99% of the time. So yeah, 6 mana, 4/5. So you played a Yeti and then drew 2 cards. Eh, I mean, like, 4/5 on 6, and that's assuming you play it on curve, right? A 4/5 on 6 is probably going to get removed. A 4/5 any later in the game almost definitely will get removed. So unless you get up to some real shenanigans with like protecting it, like with stealth or with discount, like maybe Rogue plays that. Although probably not, right? Because I was thinking Quest, but you're generating so many resources. But like unless you have a great way to protect this, it's not going to be very good. I think it's like okay at best, right? Lady Prester, and I maybe top of D or bottom of C. I don't know. Like this is another one of those cards where I'm just looking at it. And I'm like, this is a really fun card. It's not a good card. So remember, transform all your minions into dragons. They keep their original cost. There are a lot of whiffs in that scenario. You're not always getting new Alexstrasza and nuking your opponent's face, right? Often you're just kind of not getting much, right? You're getting 2/1 fairy dragons, which is not very good. Gotta say, not very good. Next up, we have Barian, King of Stormwind. I think that this is probably better than Rome. Maybe A tier. He might shift up, but just like it's a build around card, right? But the restriction isn't that great. So it's like you need a rush, divine shield, and um taunt, I believe. He'll draw those cards for you and gain those, just like Corpse Taker, right? It's kind of a combination Corpse Taker and Old Varian with the draw 3, and it's sort of like putting them into battle by giving him those effects. It's really good flavor. But like in any class where they're just running Rush, which is like everyone, in any class where they're just running Taunt, which is not everyone but a lot of people, and in any class where they're just running Divine Shield, which is like Paladin exclusively, um, this is a good card. This is a great card in those, but unfortunately, Divine Shield is just not common. So basically, You know, it's a great card in Paladin. It's an okay card in most other decks that run Russian Taunt, which is again a lot of decks run Russian Taunt. So because you got to remember, like, okay, so I played this Rush card. I played a Rush 7 mana 7/7. Why did I do that? It's like, well, no, you also drew a Rush card and a Taunt card, right? So yeah, he's gonna be low A tier. I'm gonna bump him up right now. I'm doing that right now. Don't let me go back on it. um, Jace Darkweaver. Remember, this is like the hero card from Rastakhan, but with fell spells instead of hunter spells. Um, Jace, like the fell spells we saw, the new ones seem pretty strong. And remember, he targets enemies if possible. It's not random targeting. That's a very important thing with especially with your eye beams and stuff like that. Although if they run out of minions, they will start hitting your guys, so be careful. I mean, you know, there is a lot of anti-synergy in among your fell spells, but like don't run those. Right, you know? Like it's like, oh, I have a bunch of lifesteal targeted minion things, and also I ran Chaos Nova. It's like, bro, why? You just cleared the board before you could get your lifesteal back. So Jace, I think Jace has a lot of potential. I just don't know if it'll be good right now. We're gonna put him in high B tier, maybe low A. You know, he's kind of straddling the line there. Sheldress Moontree. Your next three spells drawn have like that effect that casts when drawn. You know, cast when drawn, the effect that casts when drawn. So it's 8 mana for that effect. I mean, you know, Druid doesn't care about mana, so that's fine. Sheldress Moontree is probably. See, I'm conflicted, right? So you can put him in Big Druid, and then like you just run your big spells mostly. Um, so something like Guess the Weight is going to draw you one, and then it's like a coin flip if it draws you a second, and then it'll draw you a third because of the cast when drawn effect, right? So even your small spells hitting off of Sheldress Moontree are good in a scenario where you're playing like Big Druid, right? So this I have a lot of faith in this because it fits a pre-established archetype. So it's probably like IB tier, maybe low A, right? Um, because you know Big Druid not only is Big Druid currently in, but it's historically been in, right? So we know that there's a lot of support for it right now, and we know that this fits in it, right? Because I mean, like the high roll, that's a high roll deck, right? So what does it need? More high roll, probably. Roll into a survival of the fittest off of this. So congratulations, you just drew a card, buffed everything in your fucking hand and deck and board, and then yeah, it's silly. Like there's a lot of silly potential in this card. Maybe it's not consistent enough, but I think that about every time Big Druid pops up. So I'm gonna like counterbalance my gut feeling by saying like no, this is good. um, the Rat King. Um, again, this is a good card. I feel like its archetype isn't supported, so I'm putting it in the middle of B tier. Remember, this is a 5 mana 5/5 rush that goes dormant, and then when when a bunch of dudes die on your side of the board, it gets revived, right? So it's very powerful. Um, you know, especially with all the other rat related cards that Hunter has right now, I just don't think um those rat things are good. I do think maybe this sees play just because of like Hyena, you know, and like Wolpertinger, right? Like you have ways to establish a bunch of cards on board other than through rat synergy cards. So there are like established good hunter cards. Yeah, I'm gonna bump him up actually to top B, but or not. There we go. But the again that issue of like, you know, the cards that they clearly printed to be synergistic with it are just like not good. You know, that's not a great sign. So that's why he's you know, high B tier. So we haven't had any S tier yet, and I think it might stay that way. Because like the quest lines I think are just so much better, right? Um, I have relatively little faith in the legendary minions. I think they might perform more consistently, but the quest lines are just so much more. They're so much cooler that it's like easier to be like, oh, this one's the best thing in the game, you know. And so I did that. Grand Magus Antonitis. I will admit that I definitely underestimated how easy it is to play 3 fire spells in a row like that. Um, so I'm gonna put him probably top of B tier. Um, maybe A tier, below or slightly above Sheldress. I don't know. It's like hard to say. exactly. Um, Four Dragon. Well, so let's talk about Antonidas more actually. Antonidas, it's like it's pretty cool that he casts three fireballs, and if those all go face, that's great. It's a good finisher. But how likely is that to happen, really? Um, and like I've seen people, because I did watch some of the theory crafting streams, right? I've seen people run Antonidas and get him off somewhat consistently, even in the Quest Mage package, which I will also say that Quest Mage seems easier to complete than I thought initially as well. So that might be Mage might just generally be stronger than I've been saying. Um, that's why he's B tier. That is like a big upgrade from where I had him mentally before. Um, but yeah, I just Antonidas looks pretty good. I'm gonna put him below the ranking again actually. Um, so let's compare it to High Lord Four Dragon, right? So this is the paladin guy that hand buffs when divine shields get popped. I just hand buff paladin. I was not thinking about Runthak there. That might be just enough to make it like to cobble this deck together, but I still don't think it's very good. Um, he's gonna be right below Lothar, I think, right below Lothar here, because I have such little faith in the archetype that he supports that it kind of doesn't matter where else he falls. Um, like he is basically Don Hancho with that effect because he has the divine shield, right? Um, for like way cheaper. But Don Hancho was so bad that I don't even know if a 2 mana buff fixes him. So that's kind of where I am with it. Well, and of course, 5 mana 5/5 with divine shield or 6 mana 5/5 with divine shield is still like an okay card on its own. And this effect is like pretty fat. But Don Hancho was awful. So um I'm just gonna leave him down there. Benedictus. God. Uh no, that's mean. Put him above. Yeah, this is fine. Right. I have again very little faith in the archetype Benedictus supports. I think Priest likes shadow spells. I think it also likes still playing control and healing and stuff. So it's hard to and it likes its holy spells a lot too. And I think Benedictus could work in a limited capacity, but I don't think this is like a standout deck, really. Um it's just it's not even the deck restriction, it's just that I don't think the effect is very powerful. Because like it almost feels like worse Quest Hunter, you know? Because I mean Quest Hunter is basically Raza Priest, which is oh man. Oh man. Let's not talk about that. We're not talking about Quest right now. Um, Maestro of the Masquerade. Do I need to explain this one? It's just not good, guys. I'm sorry. Like, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really funny if like streamers queue into each other and they have like the reaction live where they're like, "Oh my god, it's Maestro!" Ah, but it's not gonna be good. Yeah, it's really not. The the mulligan. So the one thing this card is going for it is a mulligan effect where your opponent might mulligan wrong your um against your class, the one you appear as. But like, a lot my thought was, yeah, but like how different is that really? And how often do people really get like, because you have to rely on them having something in their opening and being like, "Oh, I don't need this against this class." And then getting something where they're like, "Yes, I need this." Right? Either of those is like your scenario that you want. But like a lot of the times when you play Hearthstone, I don't know if you know this, but you just like look at your opening hand, you're like, get rid of that. Get rid of it, please. Like a lot of the times the mulligan ends up not mattering in that sense. And something I read somewhere else, I think it was Vicious Syndicate, where they were like, yeah, a lot of decks just like don't care what opponent they're facing at all anyway. They just kind of do their own thing. And I was like, yeah, that's very true. I hadn't thought about that. Um, so like, and also like, think about, so it's banned from competitive because of the admin headache that this would be like, my opponent queued the wrong class. What do you do? Um, so on top of that, so it's banned from competitive where like mulligan strategies are actually considered. Like if you get below like, I don't know, a few thousand legend even, like people aren't mulliganing to class specific things. You don't have to until that point really. I don't think I learned. I don't think I bothered really like trying to learn and memorize like class specific mulligans until I started like to grind to get to like top 1,000 legend, and it helps a lot. It really does. But people just don't before. Definitely not before legend, right? Maybe like high diamond. Maybe I'm underestimating, but it just doesn't it doesn't really happen. So like your advantage is kind of not there. And like I said, it's banned in competitive. So like the people who would most be like who'd be most likely to end up like playing into your strategy literally can't. Um yeah, it's just sorry. Maestra's gonna be fun. It's not gonna be good. Bolner, Hammerbeak. I'm gonna, S tier. Let's do it. We need an S tier. This is the most. This seems like the most powerful effect out of all of them, honestly. Um, so that's why I'm putting them up there. But overall, like I'm not even sure if I want to put him up there. I just think like something has to occupy S tier. But and if it's gonna be anyone, it's got to be Bolner. I think out of all of these cards, that is the most like the biggest effect, like the absolute like boom, 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 And then ending on a high note, we have a Netheron. I have come around to a Netheron a little bit. Uh, Probably like top of C tier. And this is purely a matter of this archetype being the best, right? So like think about it like this. C tier, all the C tier minions are about as good as each other, but I basically rank them by what archetype they fit into. And I love Handlock so much, so Anethron gets to be the king of C tier. That's his like let's this is nepotism, right? Like this is when your nephew asks you to be the Duke of Wales and you're like, "All right, fine." So that's why Anethron found his home there. Remember? Yeah, so remember he costs one if you have like some it's like at least 8 cards in your hand. Something like that. Or is it a full hand? It might be worse than I'm remembering. But yeah, it's just like not great. There are better things you can do with a full hand. That knoll I think is much better than a Nethron because it has rush. Like that's my take, right? So, um yeah, this is how the tier list shook out. I don't think I want to rearrange anything. I really, I think I might want to bump Jace up to low A tier. I know that's a big jump, but like it just seems so it has so much potential, right? He gets potential points, right? So I'm not saying he's necessarily going to be great right now, but that he might be great next expansion. Um, so that's my get out of jail free card when he's awful. It's like, no, it was all about the potential, guys. I was saying he could be good later. Um, yeah. So there aren't any like huge gaps within the tiers or anything. Like I'm not saying the Rat King is like vastly better than Grand Mage Antonidas. Um, I will say there might be a bit of a gap between like these and these, and even these because like Maestra's just like actually useless and unplayable. Like if I thought about it more, I would have added an F tier, an M tier, M for Maestra, right? So that's where we stand with the tier list right now with all these other legendaries. Make sure you leave your tier lists down in the comments below. Link to this tier maker in the description. I want to see totally contradictory stuff. I want to see this, but just like flipped completely. Like no originality, just literally like 1-to-1, even within the tiers. Flip it on me. It's like along that diagonal axis. I want to see that. I want to see likes on the video if you like the video, and if you want to see content from the upcoming expansion, including pack openings, go ahead and click subscribe because that's going to be coming out maybe later today, definitely by tomorrow. Depends on what happens today. So make sure you do all that other YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.